All right, perfect. Okay, so we'll get back to our presentation as we share information about the DARE Early College. So I apologize for that brief interruption. Okay, so we'll start with a brief discussion about what is an early college. So, an early college is actually a high school. So, students that attend early colleges, that is their high school for the duration of their high school career. It is a separate school, it's not a program in a traditional high school. It is a totally separate high school and an entirely separate high school experience for students. So, a little bit more detail on that. So, the early college high school is really a research based high school model. In North Carolina, they're identified as cooperative, innovative high schools, and you'll see those all over the state of North Carolina. There's actually some very distinct legislation and mandates and rules to govern how those schools operate in this state. I wanted to share that it's a research based model because it's really not a fad. It's not just some idea that somebody had. They really based the model itself off of results and findings from some pretty significant research after they visited college campuses. And they collected information about why students attend and why don't some students attend. And North Carolina really looked to have an impact on whatever that mindset was for a high school student that impacted their decision to attend after they completed high school. So again, the early college model is research based. It is really designed to meet both student and community needs. In Dare County, a team came together with administrators, obviously from the school district, but also with our community partner College of the Albemarle, and other stakeholders in the community to write our detailed plan about what our vision was for an early college in this community. And with that, we really collected data on the economic outlook for Dare County and what those employment jobs look like for now and in the future. And so that really impacted our decisions about the design of this particular school, and we'll address that in a second. You may hear people talking about the target demographic for an early college. Again, that is typical across the nation and across the state because you're really looking to have an impact on a certain group of students, particularly those mentioned in that research. And we'll speak to that also in this presentation in pretty great detail. This application opens for students just in grade 8 as they transition to grade 9. So an 11th grade student cannot apply to attend, only students that are in the 8th grade getting ready to start their high school journey. And that's for students that are already in public schools or students in private schools or students that are homeschooled, as long as they're currently in the 8th grade. It's different than a traditional high school in that it has pretty targeted professional development for staff because the staff really has to grow and evolve to become better educators in order to meet the needs of this particular group of students as they accelerate through their high school coursework that's needed for graduation and then progress to more rigorous college level courses. All courses are honors level in an early college that can be. So you won't have a regular section of something and an honors level. You will just have the honors level coursework for all students. And then, of course, they're supported. It really doesn't matter if a student's ever been in an honors level course before. With those supports, we found that students can be very, very successful. What you won't see in an early college is some of those advanced placement courses like you see in a traditional high school because the track for students is that they complete the honors level coursework early on in their high school career and then transition to those college level courses. Every student's path is personalized to meet their academic needs. They identify what they want to do after they graduate from high school, and sometimes they don't know. And we actually have a plan for that too. The other part that's different from a traditional high school is it's a real college going culture. And so we really focus on career and college readiness at each grade level. And teachers in the early college don't just teach content, but they also have to teach those college readiness skills in a pretty strategic and targeted way. It is a smaller environment by design, and that's some of that guidelines outlined by the state. Our early college proposal that was approved called for no more than 350 students total when they are operating at full capacity. Next year, we will only have ninth graders that enter the early college. And again, there's some pretty intense student supports for to grow student success. And we also see a lot of parent involvement in the early college as well. The last two bullets would be some information when this is posted if people wanted to look through that. Again, information about cooperative innovative high schools in North Carolina, and then the annual report to the General Assembly about the status of those schools and what their performance looks like. And I will tell you that early colleges across this state are some of the highest performing schools in North Carolina, whether it be their school performance grade or outcomes as it relates to the completion of associate degrees and career certifications at community colleges and four-year universities across North Carolina. So as we go through, if you have any questions, feel free to drop those in the chat, and if I don't address those, I'll be glad to do that. So in Dare County, when we developed our model, it was important for us that students be able to enroll, enlist, or employ when they graduate from high school. So the early college is not just for students who plan on to go to the four-year university after high school. It's really for students who choose any career path, but they want something different from their high school experience. They want to earn a college credential in high school so that when they enlist, they can be paid more. Or they want that credential so they can go straight into the workforce and start to work and earn income. So the target demographic that I mentioned basically is kind of separated into four pretty general categories. And again, if you read some of that legislation, it is very specific in that your school must serve this demographic with purpose. And so to me, that research showed that people whose parents didn't go to college, they didn't go to college. So again, the early college model is set to really attract and provide the supports for first generation college students. Also, part of that demographic would be students who are historically underrepresented populations on college campuses. So those might be your minority students. When they did the research, they found that they were not attending those four-year universities after high school graduation. The other category is an at-risk category, and there's so many factors that could put a student at risk of not graduating from high school or of having poor academic performance. So that might be a student with a learning disability or student with medical issues and they miss a lot of school. It could be our students who English is their second language, and that puts them at risk. It could be students who have discipline issues, and the causes and the responses to those haven't really been addressed. It could be students who have attendance issues. There's a range of things that could classify somebody as at risk. But the early college high school model is really just another option for students. Again, if they know they're going to need something more out of high school than that traditional path, so that they can get the supports they need so that when they do have the opportunity after high school to make a decision about whether they want to go on to the four-year university, they feel confident in making that decision and that they have a credential to go with that. But the last category, by design, uh, that is really part of this early college model are students who seek a challenge. That may be your high performing AIG student who just is ready. They're ready for something more. They're ready for that rigorous curriculum. And so the early college model is designed to meet the needs of those students as well. So it's really important when you design an early college that you are thoughtful of the demographic and the services that you provide so that, again, you're building that student confidence and knowledge throughout their high school career. So this map shows all the districts in North Carolina, all those counties across the state. And if you'll notice, there are lots of little red dots. Those indicate the districts that already have an early college in their district. And there are some, many of them have the number one. That means they have one early college. But there are several districts that have more than one early college. If you notice right there near the middle of the state, you'll see Guilford County in the Sandhills, and they have 10 early colleges. They're in the Piedmont Triad, and they have 10 early colleges in their district in addition to regular high schools. I think Wake County has 3. I think Wake has 7, Johnson County has 3. And so what you see across the state is there's some pretty standard protocols in place for how early colleges are designed to function and what demographic they're designed to meet the needs of. But you do see a lot of flexibility in how that school's designed. And with that being said, again, you're responding to your community need. So in Wake County, I know that NC State has an early college on its campus, and it's designed just for students who want to study engineering. Or you may have an early college that's designed just for students who want to enter the medical field. Here in Dare County, we decided we did not want to have that type of early college. We really wanted it to be open up to students, again, who were planning to go to the four-year university, join the military, or, get that CTE credential and enter the workforce. So we wanted to sort of open up the curricular options for students at the college level with our design. So Dare Early College is a state-funded public school. It's going to operate under the same rules of Dare County schools and follow our local board policy. But the great thing about early colleges across the state as cooperative innovative high schools, several of the rules that apply for operation across the state have been lifted. One of the first ones is some of the rules about our school calendar, and you'll see that in just a moment. But they're really designed to expand opportunities for students. Students will take their first college class in 9th grade if they're ready, and then they'll start taking more college classes as the student progresses and when they're ready for that. Again, we mentioned the target demographics. I won't talk about that anymore. But the purpose of an early college and Dare Early College will be not just college credit, but college credit in the form of a complete degree or some sort of industry credential or certification for students. And again, this is 2 years of free college, free of charge to parents. And if anyone has kids in college, you know that that could be a value of about $40,000. And that doesn't include DoorDash and all that kind of stuff that kids do now. And I can't imagine what that bill would be. So the Dare Early College will be located on the campus of COA Dare there in Manteo. This is an artist rendering of what that new building will look like. It pretty much looks almost exactly like the one that's already there, but it will be across the campus from that building. It will be a public school in Dare County, so we will provide busing and transportation if that is needed for students. And that's whether they live in Hatteras or whether they live in Duck. It will be open to new students August 2025. Obviously, the building will not be complete then. And it's really important to remember that school is not the building. School is what you do with a group of students to progress their learning and to help them grow. So, with that being said, our first cohort of students, we're looking to admit about 50 students, again, as they transition from 8th grade to 9th grade. And the students will be housed temporarily until the new building is finished at COA Dare. They've given us a whole portion of their campus that for our exclusive use with those 50 students to hold school until the new building is open. By design, our application was accepted by the state and approved, and it calls for no more than 75 students per grade level, with again a total of 350. So if you do the math on that, you'll see that 75 times 4 is 300. And students in an early college can stay for a fifth year if they opt to do that. So we needed to leave a little bit of room for that. And the question might be, why in the world would somebody stay in high school for a fifth year? Well, it's just an option for students if they haven't completed their pathway at College of the Albemarle, or if there's another program they want to do, still free of charge. So there's no penalty to the student, no penalty to the school. Again, it's just an option if that's something that a student needs. It's also really a good option if we're working with students to really build their confidence and their academic stamina, if you will. So those that sort of get a later start going in that college path sometimes need that extra time as well. The next to the last bullet is based on a question from a student. And the question was, will I get kicked out if I don't make an A or a B at an early college? And the answer is no. Continued enrollment is not linked to their academic performance. So again, we will work with students if they're not successful and really target their skills and those deficits and really work with them to again, work towards degree completion. One of the great things about early colleges across the state is, again, some of those strict guidelines for course enrollment that you see at a traditional high school have really been lifted because they know supports are in place at early colleges. So the calendar that has been accepted, this is one of the rules that's different for an early college. You're allowed to start school earlier. By the state law, most traditional schools have to start the end of August, but an early college can start earlier. And so the first summer is pretty short, but students are finished. That is Memorial Day weekend. So that's pretty nice. They start earlier because their calendar has to be aligned with a college calendar. And so it's really important that that students are in school for about a week or so before those college courses start. Won't really happen a whole lot for ninth graders because they really take that first college course the second semester. But again, that's why the calendar looks like it does. We've aligned it with our district calendar. So if there are siblings in another grade in the district, that those holidays will be aligned. So for example, we're going to have the same days off at Thanksgiving and Christmas and Easter. And you also might see some alignment during teacher work days. It's not exact alignment, but most of the major holidays are aligned. It's a typical school schedule during the day, 8:20 to 3:15. Again, that's a draft. Once we see who our students are, and we'll kind of fine tune that as far as transportation goes. But the one thing that's really different, every Friday is an early release day in an early college. And so the purpose of that is so that teachers can get that training they need on Friday afternoons, and that happens every Friday. There may be some Fridays where teachers hold office hours or tutoring sessions, and on those Fridays, students would be assigned to attend. And again, once we know who the students are that are accepted and those that apply, then we will know some of those details on transportation plans, because right now we just don't know. We don't know how many students will be interested from Hatteras. We don't know where they live. We don't know if there'll be students in Duck. So we'll really figure that out once we know who our students are. So a lot of what I've talked about is sort of very different from the typical high school experience. Most kids don't take college classes in high school, but there are lots of things that are completely traditional that you see as far as high school goes in an early college. So I titled this slide The High School Experience. Students will still have clubs and organizations. There will still be a student government. There will still be extracurriculars and events for students to attend. There will be prom and dances, driver's ed. We want students to take driver's ed, and they will. One of the things that our team thought was really, really important was that our students that were athletes were still able to be athletes. So with that, our team agreed, and it was approved that student athletes can return to their home school and participate in athletics. So if a young man wants to play football, he can attend the early college during the day and return to his home school to play football and practice in the afternoons. And that goes for all sports. I've had lots of questions about, well, how's that going to work out? I don't know. I can't figure out how that's going to work. Well, again, this is typical with early colleges across the state. And we're going to provide that transportation back to the home school to get them there, and then we'll work on the scheduling piece. But I will say this, right now, if a student leaves for a game, they're excused in the afternoon and they get on a bus and they go. It's not going to be any different for a kid in an early college. But we will be very purposeful making decisions about what college classes they take when they get to that point. So, for example, my daughter in high school took some college classes. She was a tennis player in the fall. She had to take chemistry. And so it came down to, should I take chemistry at 9 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon? And of course, we chose the 9 o'clock in the morning because we knew there was going to be a scheduling conflict with athletics. So that's really how that works. Students can also return to their home school to be involved in theater productions. We thought that that was important. And of course, those early college students can also get involved with extracurriculars on that college campus, in particular, their student government and some of those initiatives. Right now, we do not have plans for performing arts in the early college, so no band, no chorus. Those are not extracurriculars in that they are typically tied to a class in the high school. So we haven't really worked out any plans. I will say that one young lady at one of my 8th grade presentations had a great idea for chorus. Her question was, well, can we start a chorus club? And the answer is yes. Clubs come about when there's a student interest. They present a proposal to the principal, of course, have to have a sponsor and that sort of thing. And that's what gets that club started, if you will. So there has to be student interest and someone to sponsor. But that, I thought that was a great solution to that concern. But right now, no band and no chorus as part of the curriculum. So I wanted to just kind of list the great thing about College of the Albemarle and partnering with us here for an early college is it really opens up the curriculum opportunities for students. So early college students have access to a lot more curricular options than the traditional high school student, in that they can complete several associate pathways. They're not limited to just that associate in arts and science, which are transfer pathways, or some of those at the bottom of the list that are specific to career and technical education. So a variety of things that students can study there at College of the Albemarle. So what happens when you take college courses at their early college? Well, it's a blended model. And what that means is it's going to be normal high school for the most part in grades 9 and 10, because they still have to meet high school graduation requirements. So if you see this plan, you'll notice in white, those are standard honors level if they can be, high school classes that every high school kid would have to take. But as you transition to grade 10, you can see, first thing you might notice is that they take English 2 and 3 in the same year. That's pretty typical. But they're also in gray are starting to take those college level courses. So again, they've taken the first one over in the ninth grade in gray. And then under grade 10, they've taken a couple more. If they're not ready for 2 more, then we don't enroll them in 2 more. And then you map out the rest of what they need for 2 reasons. And so pretty much 11th and 12th grade consist of college level coursework, if that indeed is what the student is ready for. And the purpose of that is twofold. Number one, to finish meeting high school graduation requirements. What you don't see on there is a U.S. history course, because students will complete History 131 and 132 at the college to get that credit. There's also an English that works that way. But again, mainly 9th and 10th grade is regular high school with regular high school teachers. But when they start at the college level, they will actually be in college courses with college professors that work for College of the Albemarle. And we'll help students prepare for that so that they're ready to be in a college class. They know how to communicate with the professor. They know how to get to class on time. They know what to do while they're there and that sort of thing. But again, that enrollments, we're going to judge every student individually to see what they're ready for and then map out a plan for them. This was just one model of a plan. COA has campus supports and tutoring and lots of things on their campus that students can take advantage of. But again, the goal of an early college is degree completion. It's not just taking a few classes. It's really about completing the whole degree. We do have some students right now in Dare County that are traditional high school students that complete the degree. That number is very, very low. In an early college, you're looking at about 85 to 100% of your students completing a degree or a career certification. So instead of 12 students in the district, that one school could have 40, 50, or so forth. And that's a big difference in those two. Question, does COA course and program prepare students for the next college level? Yes, it does. That's my personal experience as a parent. That's my experience as an educator, working in an early college since 2012. And also, College of the Albemarle has some pretty significant data that also supports the fact that they're one of the most successful community colleges in this state, in that students are completing those 4 years degrees when they leave them. So that's pretty incredible that we're able to partner with them. Credits do transfer. There's a state articulation agreement that guarantees how they transfer. And the best part, if you're in an early college and you complete that degree, you're guaranteed acceptance into a UNC system school, into one of the 17. So that doesn't mean if you apply to Carolina, you're going to get in. But one of those 17 has to admit you into their program. My experience has been students don't have any trouble from early colleges getting into colleges if that's what they choose to do after high school. I've seen students attend schools in North Carolina, Virginia, Michigan, Florida, Pennsylvania, pretty much. And I've never known credits not to transfer. So transferring credits is not a problem. So what are students to do? We did send the application to all of our 8th graders. It's also posted on our website. So the students complete the application. It's pretty easy to complete. It's going to ask a few questions about why they're interested in attending. It's really important that the student make the choice to attend, and sort of they're able to articulate why it's important to them. There is a parent portion of the application. It's primarily there to collect some of that demographic data and to see that we are actually having students apply that meet that demographic. Students will also recommend 3 people to, they will identify 3 people to recommend them for this opportunity. 2 of them have to be 8th grade teachers. The other one can be their coach. It can be their youth minister. It can be their tutor. It can be the custodian or the cafeteria lady. Somebody that can really recommend them and know something about who they are as a young person and a learner, and recommend them for this opportunity. Obviously, it cannot be a parent or a grandparent or somebody like that. It really has to be a neutral party. There will be a student interview. Those take place in March, and I will provide the questions to students that apply so that they can prepare for that interview. As a starting point, students get real nervous about that. And again, the interview is just really to try to identify what students are going to be a good fit for this environment, and to make sure that it's the student that wants this opportunity and they're not going through the process because the parent is making them. Because we have found that students in that situation tend to struggle and they're not as successful. And then we'll look at attendance data and discipline data. We'll take the recommendations from the teachers. I will send them a link to a survey. They don't have to write a letter or anything like that. We'll score student applications and then score their interviews. And that's how we get our starting point on our rubric to see who we will offer that opportunity to. We do not check grades during the recruitment phase. So we're not looking for A and B students. Now, they may be A and B students, and that's great. We want them. But we're not going to go looking for them. We're not going to ask about grades, because we have found, my experience has been with this model, that is really not an indicator of success. Student drive and work ethic and willingness to learn and do new things is really what impacts student success in this particular model. So I mentioned that teachers get training and provide lots of supports for students. I've listed some of them. The early college classroom looks different than the traditional classroom. You really see some innovative instructional design, because again, you're teaching at that honors level and you're preparing students for something that's more rigorous that comes next. You may see opportunities for grade recovery, students giving students choice on how they want to demonstrate their knowledge of something. Lots of personalized planning, lots of communication with students and parents, and teaching students how to advocate for themselves really is what makes that early college a little bit different than traditional. So the timeline for this process for our group of 8th graders this year, this finishes up my last information session. We've opened the application. I'm really excited. We're already getting applications in, so that's pretty incredible. We'll set up interviews at the school March 6th through 13. If we have students who are homeschooled or private school, we'll set those up separately. But we do want to let students know their status around March 14th. But students don't have to make a final commitment until April. And again, that gives them plenty of time to think about this and if it's going to be a good fit for them. My experience has been occasionally students go through the process and then decide, you know what, I still want to go to the traditional high school, and that's okay. We really want students to be thoughtful and kind of talk through this with their parents to see if it's going to be a good fit for them and for their family. And I know I talked a lot, and that was a lot of information. But I'll take any questions now if you have those. No, I don't see any in the chat. So if you have any questions specifically, I'll be glad to answer those. All right, Miss O'Donnell. Miss O'Donnell, if you can turn your mic on, yeah, I'll take your question. Maybe.
Sorry, that just
Sorry. Oh, you're fine.
took me a second. So you said the recommendation had two of them had to be from an 8th grade teacher. What if
Yes.
if a student is homeschooled?
Well, that would be a little bit different. So, well, and again, there are different homeschool models. So sometimes they partner with like a homeschool co-op, and so there may be somebody they may have an online instructor. But if not, then obviously we don't have. We might talk one on one about some
What, what does
evidences of performance. I mean, are you the parent? Are you the homeschool teacher?
I'm the parent. No, my student is in private school, but
Okay,
it's a very small private school, so
sure.
they only have a few teachers. But
That'd be fine.
they attended the charter school in Corolla for years.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
Well,
one of those
well,
teachers
we just
could give
have to
a
be,
recommendation, even
yeah.
though it's not a
So,
current
and even,
teacher.
yeah, that's fine if they're not a current teacher. That's absolutely fine. Maybe one
Okay.
current, two somewhere else. Yeah, as long as we get three, we're good. Yep,
Okay.
that's a
Yeah, yeah,
great
that's
question.
fine. That's not a problem. I just wanted to
Okay.
see if it had to be a current teacher or
Yep.
um that was pretty much it.
Okay. Now, do you still live in Corolla?
No, we don't live in Corolla. We live in Kill Devil Hills.
Oh, I got you. Okay. All
Yeah,
right.
they just would. Yeah, we
I
drove them
got
there.
you. Okay. I got you. I got
Um,
you.
but
So and the reason I asked that question is when we set up interviews, I might ask you to come to that middle school, whatever's closest to you.
oh yeah, no, we're at
Yeah.
~5. We're
I
not.
got you. Yeah, perfect. Okay, yeah.
Um,
Did you have any other questions?
um. Oh, I did have a question. Is there so if I have a rising 9th grader and then next year I'll have another one? Is if she was interested in the early college, would she get any kind of um, I guess
Preference? Yeah.
preferential?
No,
Okay.
no, we don't. No, we don't do that. And the reason we don't is really have to because it is so personalized. It really has to be about individual students and what's best for
Understood.
them. Yeah.
Um,
So that's a great question.
and I think you answered pretty much all of the other questions that I had written down here. So that was it.
Great.
Thank you.
Well, like I said, we're going to post this, and so you can kind of look back over it if you choose to do so, and maybe click on a couple of those links to some of that state information. But if you think of something else, don't hesitate to reach out. I'll be glad to answer any questions you have. I've sort of been fielding questions via my email um, all week, and of course, I'm at on our district website. So you can find any information there. And I think there's actually a tab now for early college. So you can click right on that.
Okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for attending. I appreciate it.
Thank you for presenting and enjoy the rest
All
of your
right.
evening.
Perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
Bye
All right.
bye.
Were there any other questions? I think our other guests. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to conclude our meeting. Again, thank you so much for attending. And I hope that I gave some information and I hope your eighth grader will be interested and apply. So thank you so much.
Thank you.